What's good, crypto fam? The Blum team just dropped some massive updates that have the entire community buzzing, and not necessarily in a good way. We've got the official launch timeline, snapshot dates, and some pretty disappointing news about exchange listings that's got people calling this whole thing a potential rug pull. If you've been grinding Blum points for months like I have, you need to watch this entire video, because I'm breaking down everything the team announced, what it means for your potential airdrop value, and whether this project is still worth your time. Spoiler alert, the news is complicated. Let me start with the official announcement that came out on May 26th. The Blum team confirmed that Blum is launching this June. So we're talking about launch happening literally in the next few days since May is basically over. That's the good news. But here's where things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean potentially problematic. The team stated that the token will go live in the Blum app and on DEX. Snapshot early June. Did you catch that? DEX only. No mention of centralized exchanges like Binance, OKX, or any of the major platforms that actually drive real volume and price discovery. This is setting off major red flags in the community, and honestly, I can understand why. Let me put this in perspective for you. Remember the recent TON ecosystem projects? Take Not Pixel, for example. They had a total supply of 250 million tokens and started at around $0.61 on DEX. But look at where they are now, trading at around $0.007. That's a 99% drop from their peak. And that's exactly what happens when projects only list on DEX without proper centralized exchange support. The pattern is becoming painfully clear with Telegram projects. They generate massive hype, get millions of users grinding for months, launch on DEX only, and then the price immediately dumps because there's no real liquidity or institutional buying pressure. Now Blum is focusing specifically on Telegram and TON ecosystem, which they've made crystal clear in their latest updates. They said, Telegram remains our core platform. We are going deeper into the TON ecosystem. While they mentioned potentially expanding to other blockchains like Solana or Ethereum in the future, for now, they're staying locked into TON. This means Blum will likely launch on DEX platforms like Ston.fi and other TON-based exchanges. But here's the reality. DEX launches for Telegram projects have been absolutely brutal for token holders. The initial excitement lasts maybe a few hours, and then it's a slow bleed to near zero values. Let's talk about the snapshot timeline, because this is crucial for anyone still trying to maximize their airdrop. The team confirmed that the snapshot will happen in early June, which means first week of June or around June 15th at the latest. If you're still working on meeting the criteria, you literally have days to get everything sorted. Speaking of criteria, let me refresh your memory on what you need to qualify for the Blum airdrop. You need a minimum of 100,000 Blum points from your mining activities. You also need either 750 meme points or completion of at least 2 proof of activity tasks. And finally, you need at least 2 referrals in your account. If you haven't met these requirements yet, this is your last chance. The snapshot is happening in early June, and after that, whatever you have is what you get. No more grinding, no more point accumulation. It's over. But here's what's really frustrating about this whole situation. The Blum team has been teasing major exchange partnerships and investor discussions for months. They've been posting tweets that seem to hint at Binance listings and major exchange collaborations. But now, at the last minute, we find out it's DEX only. This feels like a classic bait and switch. Get millions of users invested emotionally and time-wise in the project, then deliver something far less valuable than what was implied. It's the same playbook we've seen from multiple Telegram projects recently. The community reaction has been savage. People are commenting things like scam without CEX and asking why the team didn't announce the DEX-only approach from the beginning. And honestly, these are valid concerns. Here's the thing about centralized exchange listings. They require the project to meet certain volume and liquidity requirements. Exchanges like Binance don't just list any token. They have strict criteria about trading volume, market cap, and ongoing commitment from the project team. When a project chooses DEX only, it often means one of 2 things. Either they couldn't meet the requirements for major exchange listings, or they're trying to avoid the ongoing obligations that come with CEX listings. Neither scenario is particularly bullish for token holders. Let's look at the bigger picture of Telegram projects. Out of the dozens that have launched, only 2 have really delivered meaningful value: Knot and Dogs. Everything else has been either mediocre returns or outright disappointments. The pattern is becoming pretty clear. The space is oversaturated with projects that generate massive user bases, but fail to deliver on the financial promises. Blum actually had one of the strongest hype cycles of any Telegram project. At one point, it was generating as much excitement as Dogs. The team built a solid platform, had good engagement, and seemed to be executing well. But this DEX-only announcement is really damaging their credibility. What makes this even more frustrating is the timing. If the team knew they were going DEX-only from the beginning, they should have been transparent about it. Instead, they let the community believe that major exchange listings were possible, even posting content that seemed to suggest partnerships with major platforms. Now, I'm not saying Blum is definitely a scam. The team is still working on the project, they're providing updates, and they seem committed to launching something. But the value proposition has changed dramatically from what many users were expecting. If you're wondering whether to continue with Blum or cut your losses, here's my honest take. If you've already put in the work to meet the criteria, you might as well see it through. Your time investment is already sunk, and even a DEX-only launch might provide some value. However, I wouldn't recommend putting any more significant time or effort into Blum at this point. The writing is on the wall. This is going to be another typical Telegram project that provides minimal returns to users, while the team likely extracts value through other mechanisms. For those asking about alternatives, there are still some legitimate mining applications and testnet projects that might offer better risk-reward profiles. I've been sharing information about these on my Telegram, including a project called DNet that has $2.5 million in funding and their own Play Store app. Their tokenomics haven't been released yet, but the launch is expected around August. The key lesson here is to diversify your efforts across multiple projects rather than going all in on any single Telegram game. The space is too unpredictable, and teams often change their plans at the last minute without considering the impact on their community. Looking at Blum's announcement, they're clearly trying to manage expectations while still maintaining some community enthusiasm. They're emphasizing their focus on the TON ecosystem and positioning this as a strategic choice rather than a limitation. But the market doesn't care about strategic positioning. It cares about liquidity and accessibility. The fact that they're mentioning potential expansion to other blockchains in the future suggests they know the TON-only approach is limiting. But for the initial launch and airdrop, we're stuck with DEX-only trading on a relatively small ecosystem. My prediction: Blum will launch in early June as promised. There will be initial excitement and some price action, but within a few weeks, it will settle into the same pattern we've seen with other Telegram projects: minimal volume, declining prices, and disappointed users. If you're still grinding points, finish what you started. Meet the criteria, get your snapshot, and then move on to projects with better fundamentals and clearer paths to major exchange listings. The Telegram gaming space had its moment, but it's becoming increasingly clear that most of these projects are designed more to benefit the teams than the users. The Blum saga is a perfect example of why you should never put all your eggs in one basket, especially in the wild west of Telegram crypto gaming. Stay diversified, manage your expectations, and always be ready to pivot when the fundamentals change. That's my take on the latest BLUM updates. What do you think? Are you still bullish on the project, or are you ready to move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let me know if you're planning to stick around for the June launch, or if you're already looking at other opportunities.